The biggest sporting event on the planet just got bigger, and not just a little bigger. We're talking the largest World Cup in history, 48 teams, 104 matches, 39 days, 3 countries hosting at the same time. If you watched Qatar 2022 and thought, that felt massive, you have no idea what you're about to witness. So today we're going to break down exactly how we got here, what actually changed, and whether this is the greatest thing to happen to football or just the most expensive thing. Let's go. First, a little history, because this didn't happen overnight. The World Cup started in 1930 with 13 teams. 13. It grew slowly over the decades. By 1982, it was 24 teams. Then in 1998, FIFA bumped it to 32, and that format stuck around for 24 years, all the way through Qatar 2022. For a whole generation of football fans, 32 teams was just the World Cup. That was normal. That was the standard. Then FIFA said, actually, what if we just added 16 more? Here's where it gets interesting. The official reason FIFA gives for the expansion is inclusion. For years, smaller footballing nations complained that the qualification system was stacked against them. Europe gets 13 spots. South America gets 4.5. And meanwhile, an entire continent like Africa, home to 54 countries and over 1 billion people, was getting just 5 spots. In theory, that sounds wildly unfair. In practice, it kind of was. Countries from Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, and the Middle East were improving every single cycle. More professional leagues, better coaching, better infrastructure, but the door to the World Cup barely opened for them. So now, with 48 teams, Africa gets 9 spots, Asia gets 8, CONCACAF gets 6. Countries like Cape Verde, Uzbekistan, and Curaçao, nations that had almost no realistic shot before, are now actually here, actually competing on the biggest stage in football. That part? Genuinely great. But here's where some people start to raise their eyebrows. There's another reason for the expansion, and FIFA doesn't exactly hide it. Money. Massive, staggering amounts of money. Going from 64 matches to 104 matches doesn't just mean more football. It means more broadcast windows, more sponsorship slots, more ticket revenue, more everything. FIFA is reportedly expecting close to $9 billion in revenue from this World Cup cycle. $9 billion. This sounds simple. It isn't. Because critics will tell you that when you add more teams, you inevitably add weaker teams, and weaker teams means more lopsided group stage games, which means less drama in the early rounds, which means fans tuning out when they're watching a 6-0 scoreline in a match between a top 10 side and a nation that qualified for its first World Cup 3 months ago. FIFA's response? Both things can be true. More inclusion and more revenue don't have to cancel each other out. We can do both. Whether you believe that or not probably says a lot about how cynical you are about sports governance. Which, fair enough. Okay, so what actually changed on the pitch? How does this thing work now? The 48 teams are split into 12 groups, groups A through L. Every team plays 3 matches in the group stage, same as before. But here's the twist. Under the old format, 16 teams advanced from 8 groups, 2 per group. Clean, simple, easy to follow. Under the new format, 32 teams advance from 12 groups. That's the top 2 from every group, plus the 8 best third-place finishers across all 12 groups. So finishing third isn't automatically a death sentence anymore. You might still make it through. You know the type of tournament rule that sounds fine on paper but becomes an absolute nightmare to explain to your family at a watch party? This is that rule. Then comes the knockout stage, and this is where the format makes a lot more sense. Once 32 teams advance, it's a clean bracket. Round of 32, round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals, final. Standard football logic from that point on. No more weird wildcards, no more confusing points, tiebreakers across different groups, just win or go home. In theory, expanding to 32 teams in the knockouts actually makes the knockout stage feel more balanced. Every team that gets there earned it. In practice, the critics are right that the group stage is going to feel longer and occasionally less competitive. But if you're the fan of a nation that's never seen their country play a World Cup match, that group stage is everything. That's the dream. And then there's the hosting situation, which is its own wild story. The United States, Canada, and Mexico, three countries, are jointly hosting this thing. That's never happened before with three nations at once. The matches are spread across 16 cities and dozens of stadiums. The final is at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. There are matches happening in Vancouver, Guadalajara, Dallas, Boston, Miami. The whole of North America basically became a football venue. This is partly why the 48-team format was even logistically possible. You need enormous infrastructure to host 104 games. The U.S. alone has 11 host cities. That's not a small number. The tournament runs 39 days. That makes it the longest World Cup ever played. So where does that leave us? We started with one simple question. Why does the 2026 World Cup have 48 teams? The honest answer is all of it. It's inclusion, and it's money, and it's politics, and it's the sport genuinely trying to grow. It's FIFA doing what FIFA does, expanding, monetizing, and occasionally getting it right by accident. Here's what's undeniably true. More countries are here than ever before. More stories, more first-timers, more upsets waiting to happen. Somewhere in those 12 groups is a team nobody's talking about, from a country that barely made it through qualifying, about to shock the world. The 32-team World Cup gave us Iceland in 2018, it gave us Senegal in 2002, it gave us South Korea reaching a semifinal on home soil. Imagine what happens when the door opens even wider. This isn't just a bigger tournament, it might be a more interesting one. And if you want to understand every twist, upset, and tactical breakdown as this thing unfolds, you know what to do. Subscribe. This is going to be a long 39 days.